last week really messed me up. That was a good hit. You see it in the video too. I go, because it legit made a ringing sound in my ears. It's not funny.
What's up, Those Boys fans? My name is Nathan.
I am Zach, and this is a podcast where we talk about mainly religious trauma. We discuss our trauma with our upbringing in Christianity.
Yes, we do.
And
we're those boys.
We're just those boys
Who started a podcast
to talk about
our
religious trauma from our upbringing as pastors' kids.
Because our father's a pastor.
Mm-hmm. In Calvary Chapel Christianity.
Calvary Chapel Christianity.
Yep.
So if that sounds familiar to you, if you're in the church, we'll probably see you in the comments because a lot of haters out there these days.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that snatchery?
There's a lot of triggers this week, man.
But
a lot of people commenting.
Also, a lot of love.
Yeah, also a lot of love.
So it's more hate on the I feel like every comment we get on YouTube, which is not much, and I'm reading them because you only send me the ones that are kind of triggering.
Yeah.
Or just like people I would assume Christians that are like, this is blasphemy. They should know.
Yes. Don't you know what the Bible says? It's like, yes, we do.
The percentage of people that comment already is so small. Like the type of person that does that, is, I have nothing against people that comment, but because the comment section is crazy. But right now it's obvious that whoever's commenting on our videos that are just like, you shall suffer the consequences in heaven when you meet the Lord Jesus Christ himself. It's like, woof.
Yeah.
Are you feeling a little triggered?
Yeah.
We have trauma. Are you having trigger?
Yeah. I really only respond back to people that give a reason to respond back. Anyone that posts a Bible verse.
I did respond to one comment.
Yeah.
And I did today.
Yeah. Oh, you responded to one today?
The one you sent me.
Oh, you responded?
As Nathan Blaustone.
Nice, dude. Good for you.
Because it's I don't really comment much, but you know what? My face is there. It's obvious. He's the one in the cast. And I was like, my comment's hilarious. If you care, you can go read it. But you know what, dude? If you're watching this, I would imagine you are, because you had the audacity and energy to comment on our video. Then, man, come on, bro. Chill out, man. Chill, bro. Chill.
Well, we're defying their religion. Remember how that felt being in that religion?
I know, but it's just man.
I would get so overwhelmed and heated and triggered by other people that didn't believe our religion.
Yeah.
And I would do that post Bible. I mean, I wouldn't, social media wasn't what it was today, but I would have totally posted Bible verses and called people out if I saw stuff like
Interesting.
this.
Yeah. No, I know. And
but the people that are commenting are in their 30s.
Or 50s or 60s.
And so they have fully lived life and they can make their own choices.
I mean, people have been making comments at me. I mean, I think I've said this on the podcast. I've had people in the community that are from churches when we were younger. I've had patients that have looked up to me and said, Nathan, I just want you to let you know that I'm praying for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that someday you come back to the truth. And I'm looking down at them I don't think I'm the right person to be told that right now, buddy. Pillow therapy. It's
breathe this mess.
Even in the most vulnerable state, some Christians will look up at you and be like, you're wrong. It's no, actually, I'm saving your life. This is crazy. Where's Jesus? He hasn't showed up to one event of your cardiac issues. It seems like we're the one doing CPR, buddy. The only thing God really did was murder everybody. He hasn't saved anybody. Us nurses are saving him. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So I'm very used to this vibe. But what's funny is I feel like I'm changing and really growing. So when I read it, it's oh, I know exactly how I want to respond to this person. If I want to comment back, it's more of fun. It's a fun thing. It's not really triggering at all. It's just fun.
I think what we kind of have started to pull out is you have a lot more hope for other people. Just in general, you have a lot more hope for other people, whereas I don't.
Yeah, no, that's a few casts back where you kind of went really deep on how your thoughts, just the way your thoughts were growing up in the church were a lot different. Than mine. Mm-hmm. The repetitive thoughts that you had. Yeah, you're right. I do have a lot of hope. I was just talking to Megan, my fiance, about this, how, she's a intense, like does not trust anybody, like naturally, just like, which is, of course, she's a half Indian, 4'11", gorgeous person. So it's like, she's like, I love to hear that. I'm like, yeah, you better not trust anybody. Everywhere you go, don't trust anybody. And I'm like, I've like had my heart broken a lot, and like from friendships and old relationships. And it's like, the same things happened before and before. And it's because I just trust people like change and whatnot. And it's like, I think it's, even when my trust has been broken a lot, I do have a lot of hope. So I know, but
I just mean for like when you were a Christian and you saw other people, you thought you could save them and get them raptured, right?
Right.
I was like, you're never going to heaven. I'm going to barely make it.
Right. I know that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so it's just like, I just don't have that much hope. So this person comments on it. And my first thought is like an instant trigger of just like, I remember feeling that same way. But then also like, dude, you're like wasting your whole life.
Yeah. So that would be just judgment.
Yeah. Right? I guess so.
That person.
So I actually feel more bad for the people that are in the church so deeply. And I'm like, it's been hard coming out of that, and you're in it right now in 2023, like in it. And it makes me like anxious to think about it, for one, but then two, like I just feel bad for them. Yeah. Like it used to be like a judgment feeling, but now it's just like, I just feel so bad for them.
And that's what you felt with this one?
Yeah. It also is confusing because it triggers me, but
it's a trigger, but I think that's like a really good approach. There's something that me and my therapist have talked a lot about. And I've told him that, like, instead of me feeling angry or upset, if I'm able to be like, oh, I just feel bad for you. Yeah. Like even that feels cringy to me, but it's still better than being like, And so
if someone triggers you, I saw this today, someone triggers you, just ask them if they're okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
No. Yeah. Are you good? It's like in England. They're like, are you all right? It's like everyone's triggered.
Yeah.
Are you all right? I'm fine. Radio. Yeah. That's actually, that's how you trigger somebody that's triggered. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Just blow up on you.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of, we did music also a lot online for many, many, many years, and we had a lot of haters. And so you're so used to it. I think it's like, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be used to online hate, because that's what it is. That's what social media is there for, is for people to shit on you.
Yeah.
It's like, I would never say this to you in real life, but like in number 21 is going to light you up.
Yeah.
And people say things like that comment where you're like, would you say that to me in real life? Like if we go to Dad's church, there are people in the church that we can say, I won't say their names, that would come right up to us and would say that.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I would look right at him and be like, give me a break, man. How's your wife? Chill. It's like, you've been doing this for 15 years. I think you need a therapist. Don't let me tell you.
Get a real therapist. It's tough. I just feel bad for him, honestly, because I feel hopeless for him.
Yeah. And I guess for me, I kind of just chuckled, and that's why I commented. But the moment I commented, I felt like, yeah, this ain't for me.
Yeah, commenting on stuff.
But I need to always test the waters. And I also when it comes to me with like hate online or all the love, like when it comes to love, like respond to love all the time, and the haters can just like hate with each other, like, because these haters that like comment on other videos, I see like people, like some people like join in, and there's just like this like replying section of hate, and that with one comment surrounded by all positivity, or there's like this huge comment of hate that like blows up, but like all the comments replying to that one are people just hating on that comment. So like it's all about community. And I feel like maybe someday there'll be people in the comments that are like, there'll be like more people feeling the need to publicly be like, hey, that video helped me realize the trauma in my life, or helped me, you guys being vulnerable, those boys being vulnerable, helped me realize the actual truth, and like, and what 100%. Is that? What is that, Nathan? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. That's the truth. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. It's true.
I am the truth. Being alive here right now, it's like in this moment, is the most truth. That's truth. That's why on his video, I commented, I am God.
Period. That's what you said?
I was like, I am God, period.
That's such a you response. I love it.
I was like, and after I sent it, I was just like, all right, got to get back to work. CPR. I'm just kidding. I am God in those moments, you know?
Yeah,
like,
trust that.
I mean, just like, anyways, let's move along.
Yeah. No,
you want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah, we're going to jump into it. So tonight, well, it feels like tonight. Today, we're going to be talking about religious trauma with missions trips. And we have been on many missions trips.
This is out of our 5-part series, which once again, the 5-part series that you've been listening to, we are so thankful that you're here listening and going along with us. We're doing that because I have always said that I have ADHD, which I do. And then I got it diagnosed in Western medicine in 2020 and was prescribed medicine for it. But in all reality, whether I have true ADHD or not, we're going to find out this year. But it helps me and Zach stay focused when we like set out a plan and actually like have goals. And that's just how life goes, right? So the short-term goal was to have like a 5-part series on our trauma specific things that we can talk about.
Yeah. Which we can add to later. You know, we started at 5. We can always go add more if we want.
Exactly. But I like the idea of a 5-part series. Like we've done a moment to Reddit. We've done the fun stuff. We've shoot the shit. Like we had a whole cast talking about my psychedelic trip, you know, and like, and so it's good to have something that, you know, is like a planned, like, I don't know, like a season, if you will. And this has felt like season 1.
Yeah.
Or like a chapter of a book or something, you know, it's like, it's a good section.
We got to figure out how we're going to playlist it on YouTube.
Exactly.
So that people can, if they want to just watch I think
series. That if we want to do another series, you know, then we'll do another series. And I think that this is like the 5-part series.
Yeah. The first one.
Just calling it that. This is the 5-part series.
What would be cool in the future if we just did everything in 5ths. So it's kind of like 5-part series for this. And then it's like a 5-part interview series where we interview like this doctor, this therapist, this thing.
That would be sick.
It's like always like these 5-part series that would do. That would be kind of cool.
You know me, numerology. We should probably do the number 4. Just kidding. You're like, you have no idea what to say. You're like, oh God.
So we're not going to be talking about the religious trauma.
You still stuck on that numerology shit, Nene? Yeah, can't help it. But yeah, 5-part series. This is number 5. We're talking about missions trips, and I was thinking about this a lot this week.
Well, let's first say the first week we talked about prayer. Second week we talked about worship. Third week talked about the rapture. Last week talked about youth pastors. Now we're talking about missionaries.
Yeah. And
missionary trips.
Every single one of these, which we said the last cast, is like the moment we're done, I'm like, oh, well, there's so much I could have talked about because I'm realizing more like trauma, like more of my own past that I've blacked out. I realize it on this cast or I realize it right after.
Yeah.
It's like we're opening up. I was telling Megan this. I've never talked about this stuff with anybody.
I know, me either.
But I've been alive in the process of it, you know, or like bouncing around and in recovery mode for many, many years. But like when it comes to having conversation, not alone public conversation or a podcast about it with your brother, like it's kind of like the deepest form of being able to go out live, like coming out live on something I barely know about myself is unique because like, it's pretty shocking to me how like I feel after these casts and I'll be like, woof.
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
And so this one, when I was thinking about it, you and I just have like the last one talking about youth pastors, right? It seemed like the way you saw me was I had a lot more involvement with these leaders and like my personality, like everything you said, like I had more hope. So I was put in positions that were like, I have so much hope for you. And you were like, I don't have any hope for you. So I'm going to be doing electric guitar. You know, like you like chose the things in the church that were like fit more your speed, or at least you were put in those positions. And like,
well, it's different with missions trips though.
Well, we went on a lot of missions trips together.
And let's define a missions trip.
They were family trips.
Missions trip is where the pastor in the church or like a part of people in the church will go off to like Mexico per se and help the poor there, either like build homes or build an orphanage. But really your goal is to convert these people to Christianity. Yeah. But so we went on many missions trips. What's the...
In our experience, it was a bunch of white Californians traveling to my other countries and being like, we don't speak your language, but we're going to do a play on your city square.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about these things today, and I was like, dude, I forgot about the plays.
Yeah. You did the heart one, right?
Yeah. With that youth pastor we talked about.
I know.
And I remember and I had
there's video footage of it too somewhere.
I had this image of memory of doing the play in Mexico, in the city square, wherever we were, and him like doing his part, and he put the heart on my chest, because he would do this thing where he'd put the heart on my chest and put his hands out. And I remember him making eye contact with me, and he like smiled. And I remember like the way I thought about that was just like, what the fuck were you doing, man? Like, God damn, we were drunk.
That's what it looked like.
Possessed.
Yeah.
You know, like we were just kids with like adults doing weird plays about the crucifixion of Christ in front of Spanish speaking people that were like, what are you doing in our country? And the way I remember looking at them was, I was a kid, but the way I felt was like, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
It's like, and like looking back on it, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
But it wasn't your fault. It's what's crazy.
I didn't really explain that well, but like we could talk about stories and explain things better.
And so when Nate was talking about was this little play, I think it was Heart in a Box, but right? Is that what it was called?
Maybe.
Something like that. But it was this little play that the youth pastor and some of the youth group were taught. And then they went to Mexico on a missions trip where I think you guys were building orphanages or something. And then on the side, you guys were going to the town square to do this play. And that was to cross the communication barrier, because it was different language, but at least they'll see that someone's being saved and we have a message. And it worked is the thing, is many people would come and get, what is it? Where you get saved, but it's not saved. It's indoctrinated or...
Yeah, saved.
Yeah, saved.
I mean, that's like what the church calls it, right?
Yeah.
When you're saved.
And you give them a Bible and they go off on their way. And it's fine. I mean, it's whatever. It is what it is.
Fine.
It's just, no, it's not fine at all. But the tough part for me, man, isn't that grown people are doing that, right? In my experience, it was me and a bunch of other children are going to go be shipped off with a couple adults, and we're all going to go work. What are you going to do? You're going to work really hard throughout the day helping these people, like in an orphanage. And then your goal is to preach to them the gospel, Zach. You have to. Well, what else were we doing there?
I mean, think about it. My experience with mission trips, we did a lot together as a family. We've been to Mexico many, many times.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this thing called Gleanings for the Hungry.
Yeah, went there.
Mission trips aren't always going to like another country. We would go every year. We would go to like Central California to this peach farm. And
peach dehydration farm.
Yeah, they would like grow the peaches, slice them, and then lay them out in the sun to dry. They wouldn't grow them.
They get the ones that were tossed out.
Oh, that's right, because the
stores.
That's right. From the ones
they have any maggots or anything in them, they get tossed out, and so we get all these nasty, but also like some really
they're all normal
peaches. A lot of them were still pretty normal, and then they would go through this whole machine. So you'd work like the whole factory, and then they'd go out on these carts and we'd dry out in the sun, and you have to pick the carts up. But you're talking like hundreds of thousands of pounds of dried peaches.
Yeah, that would like. And so,
which would go feed
people
in Africa mainly.
No, all over the world. I mean, everywhere. Because Africa's a huge.
But that was
place.
We did that every summer,
and there's a lot of rich parts of Africa.
I did at least 5 years, but I think you and Natalie did like 7 or 8.
I mean, yeah, and so but my point being that mission trips aren't just like, talking about my experience and our experience, like. Some of these mission trips, man, like I went all over saw the world, you know, because on the church's dime. And I've said this to you before, I feel like we kind of lucked out. There was like a parts of growing up in the church as a pastor kid, where we got to do a lot that other kids didn't do. Not like those kids or families wanted to go on missions trips, but in our family, it was like, pack up everybody, we're going to another country.
The only other country I was taken to is Mexico.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, we're going to fly. It's like, no, we're going to drive across the border and we have a bunch of Bibles. You're not supposed to have these. It's like, what?
Yeah, no, we could have, I think like it was mostly like, there was always going to Mexico, and we went to orphanages. We would go to build houses and stuff like that. And then there was always Bible studies every night. And, but some of these trips were amazing, man. Like I remember one of my most vivid memories in Mexico was being able to sleep out. When we went to I think it was called
Carmen, Sudan.
Yeah. And this was a, like, what is it? 8-hour drive past the border, 4-hour drive past the border.
Yeah.
Right?
But it
Into
was
Mexico.
It was a long drive. Yeah. It was
very
like
long.
10 hours to the border or something like that. 12 hours, 10 hours to the border. And then, deep into Mexico, 4 hours in.
Yeah. It was a long drive. And this was like out in the desert. And there was this facility with homes that took care of like special needs adults and of all different shapes and sizes. And mission people, like churches would come, and all year round there'd be like, it was an organization, but churches would come and they'd have like every week a new church would come in and help with like this stuff.
These were like really broken. This orphanage in particular was a very broken down orphanage, and we were coming to help fix it up, but then also help take care of the people. And it's not like we had a room to sleep in. They just put us in like basically a big garage, and we slept on the cement.
Yeah, we slept on the cement, and that was like when the older guys, like as in maybe 17, 16 or whatever, and I was like the older kids, and they were taking the wheelbarrows out into the middle of the field that was like way away from everybody. That was just open night sky, and they were going to sleep in the wheelbarrows that night. And I like begged mom and dad. I was like, can I please go and sleep with them? And they were like, okay, fine. And I was like able to go, and I slept out in the wheelbarrows in the desert of Mexico. And I remember being out there as a kid thinking like, this is cool. I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like that was a serenity moment. But that was also that trip, that missions trip was the first time I'd ever helped feed an adult. I'd never helped feed an adult before that. Man, that was like the first touch of being a nurse.
Yeah.
And that trip stuck with me for the rest of my life. So when it comes to like in our experience, we did a lot of trips. There was different experiences that like impacted me, and there's a lot of bizarre trauma that comes from missions trips. And I think a lot of it's just this idea of like traveling around, and especially when you're told that other people, you know, you're there to save them. That's just traumatic. You know, it's like go travel to a different culture or place. Because they need you, especially if they're not white and you're white and you don't speak their language, and you're being told that they need they need Jesus. And you're like, so this, like, it like kind of instills racism. It instills sexism.
Totally.
It's gnarly.
It is. 100% is.
That's the trauma. And we went all over doing that. Not knowing, like, forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do. It's like we had no idea. Yeah. Middle school was the first time I was like, every day going to school is like a missions trip. And it was like, Nathan, you don't have to do this. I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't think I want to do this whole mission trip and life thing anymore, man. Yeah. It's brutal. They keep ruining my hair. Yeah. I like my hair. Yeah. Now I'm losing it, but go figure. Back then I was like, stop ruining my hair.
Yeah, that Carmen Sudan trip stuck with me too. That's one of the many, and that's the first back I can think of. Carmen Sudan, I think, might have been my first like real missions trips besides gleanings.
Did you help like feed people and like the diapers and depends?
I couldn't do it.
So like, what's funny is
I was also like I want to say 10 years old.
I don't even remember thinking, like, we were so young, right?
Yeah.
If you were 10, I was Evan's age, 12.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I was a go-getter.
Yeah, you were.
You know, like I never, that stuff never fazed me. There was one older adult, we're talking special needs, who was like, I was helping feed oatmeal.
The guy in the big chair.
And he was just like eating, he was so sweet. And he was just like, you know, I don't want to act. I don't want people to get mad at me for acting or whatever. But he was
like throwing up too.
He just did this thing where he was like, I thought he was swallowing food. And that was, you know, and all of a sudden he just all and like sneezed. And it was just like oatmeal in my mouth, my nose, everywhere. And I was just like, I was like, he's a human being and I'm a human being and it's going to be okay. And I like rubbed it off, and I felt so much guilt to blame him as a kid. I was like, this isn't his fault. That is not his fault. I should have been paying more attention to how much food I was putting in his mouth. It's like, that might have been the first time I realized I was like going to be a nurse, you know, like it was just like, or at least that's a career that would fit well with my personality and what I can handle and what I like about humanity. And stuff. I don't know. I don't like that, but that's
I don't even remember what they had me do. My memory of that trip is a lot of the just other stuff of like getting there, sleeping there, being there, not
trauma.
Can't drink the water.
You mean the trauma?
I mean, but
that's
that's just going to Mexico. The trauma of every person that wasn't speaking English to me, I thought has no hope. There's no hope for them. We have to save them. Huge savior complex under like this 10-year-old's like mind.
Have you ever thought that because of your
100%.
Awareness.
Whatever you're about to say, 100%. I've probably thought it. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, because your thoughts are like, that's funny. That like, you know, like that's just, it's such a like scary and bizarre way to instill racism, like ignorant racism. And I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I do have a weird speech impediment that like certain things I just don't say right, but racism,
that sounds right.
Racism.
Yeah.
I always say racism.
Racism. Yeah.
I always, that's just, you know, I remember cut the fruit, Nathan. Orange.
I definitely think that just one, being raised in a very white community in general, being just shown that mainly the poor part of your society is going to be this type of person, and they need Jesus, Zach. They need Jesus. That was what was taught to me. That was my first thought. So we go on these missions trips and it's, a bunch of Mexican people running around that don't speak English. I'm instantly like just judging them for not being Christian, whether they were or not. But I'm just instantly doing it because we're from California.
You didn't know anything else.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like, and that's what it sounds like you've become really aware of and shared a lot here, is that like what you remember is like, Nathan, you had more hope and I just didn't. So the consequences look like this, and your consequences were none of these people have hope. So like if it was even, but like, I guess my question was, do you find yourself having like racist tendencies sometimes like in life still? Does those reverberate?
I mean, definitely, for sure. But I wouldn't necessarily put that on these missions trips.
Yeah.
I would put that on a lot more of just how we were raised.
Just like all of it.
Yeah.
Because like the missions trip part though, that is the most like, what else is colonialism? That's what colonialism is moving into another person's homeland and being like, our way of living, our religion, our language, like we're not gonna assimilate. We're not gonna learn your language to learn your culture, to be a part of your life, because that sounds like I found Jesus and it's the truth, which means I need to become a part of the people. Didn't Jesus become part of the people? Didn't he walk with the people? Wasn't he like in the people's lives, right? It's the whole idea. And so I think like there's like and I'm just gonna call it out. I think there's so much good that comes from mission trips, but there is a fakeness that's like, I'm going to the culture to be a part of their lives, to help them to help do the Lord's work. And that's like such a weird way to like beat around the bush of colonial approach to like everything. It's oppressive. It's like my way is better, is the only way. So I'm going to go travel the world to help the most vulnerable people and then slip them a Bible and tell them that they need Jesus.
Well, no, and save them right then and there.
Yeah. And I'm not here to judge anyone's like closeness to the truth or whatever their source of that truth is. I think that's what a lot of what we get to do here is just talk about, this is what it looks like when you're raised in the church and these are what the experiences are.
Yeah.
They don't feel very true to me. In fact, they feel like one big lie.
Yeah.
And there's all of the people that are just like,
still believing it.
I'm just still believing it. It's like literally like, we're going to teach the kids this play.
Still believing it.
Like,
still doing it. There's children that still comment on some of our videos in the past. I have not recently, but there's children still being evangelicals right now. There was those kids that just prayed for 10 days in that church.
And like right here, I'll say like
children.
I'm going to put that picture up right here. That is like totally triggering.
Yeah. Huge amount of trigger because I would have been that kid, dude.
This, if you're just listening, this picture was on Reddit, and like last week I saw it, and it's some church in the South or whatever, and it's just like people have been praying in it for like 2 weeks now for like kids, like some, like it's interesting, and it's never not going on. I think what's creepy for us is when we're doing this podcast, I've been thinking like, wow, I've spent the last, I'm going to say it like, what's her name from White Lotus? I've spent the last 15 years getting to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And over those 15 years, you're telling me that like, it's never stopped?
Mm.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So how many people do we know that like, found ways to escape the church and the mysticism and the manipulation and the upbringings and all that and the dogmas and institutional cultiness of it? Not many. They've hit us up. We know who've like moved, like a lot of pastors' kids have, but a lot of people just go right on, we get married and have kids and you just keep raising it and it's just curses after curses being handed down, all built around like some really amazing spiritual wealth. Mm. There's so much spiritual wealth in Christianity, in all religion. The weird thing about Calvary Chapel is it ain't a religion. That's the problem. Mm. But the religious aspects of Christianity are quite beautiful.
Sometimes. There's so much in the Bible I don't agree with.
When I say that, I'm like, don't take that. And what I mean is like, there's
the practice of spirituality.
I think the practice of spirituality, but there's like a lot there's just like a lot in the Bible that is like fine, good, beautiful stuff. Like that isn't all just,
for sure.
I think it's what we're talking about is the, like literally the non-denominational, like church that came out of the 60s and 70s. That is Calvary Chapel. That is like, and there's so many sects of Christianity. There's so many, like just the Baptist church alone has all these different sects. And like, why are all these different sects from one religion, this religion we call Christianity? Like,
which came from Catholicism.
Like, and they broke off because they disagreed, So was it white men in a room that were like, no, what God meant was this. And that other white man was like, no, he meant this. And they were like, then we're leaving.
Well, then go back, 500 more years and it's more white men arguing about it, and go back another 500 until you get to when the Bible was written by men.
Right.
Not by Jesus.
Ding, 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 ding,
Jesus
ding,
didn't
ding,
come
ding,
down and write stuff for us to believe. The stories are written in the Bible about Jesus, kind of like history text in a way, also manipulated in its own way. But like the Old Testament of the Bible, the actual like meat of
you mean all the murder,
all the realness of the Bible, all the
real murder that God did
was written by men.
Well, they just like documented all the murder that God did.
Yeah.
White men just documented the murder. And we say white men, obviously not white. I don't know how far back this goes. These guys, everyone dark. I don't know what the color of skin of everybody. The reality is though, it's colonialism is white men.
Yeah.
And so the history of this religion, like we were told it's not a religion. You know how fucked up that is? Mm-hmm. It's like, what? Then what are we doing? It's a relationship with God. It's like, but you can't have a relationship with God. That's why it's Jesus.
I have a pretty dope relationship with God now, and it has nothing to do with Christianity.
I am God.
Exactly.
You are God.
Yeah, I am the God.
No. There's nobody outside.
What's that noise, dude?
What was that noise?
It sounded like someone opened the door.
It sounded like someone scratching at it, but there's no dog outside. Maybe Kylie just got home and is just walking in her house, probably.
Maybe.
And it's weird. We always hear shit really weird in these. But anyways, we got a little sidetracked there.
Yeah. Okay. So, Carmen Sudan.
Yeah.
Obviously Gleanings, but Gleanings, we can think about that as missionary work. Yeah. That was just work.
So we were young with
you would go with other churches. So it wasn't like you were actually going to be like preaching to other people. When I think of like what the missionary work was, I think of like, when was I put in situations where it was I, as a 12-year-old boy, am supposed to save somebody.
Yeah.
And I was really put in those situations later in life. especially on the last mission trip that I think I can remember, I was forced to go on. I did not want to go
Where
on the
did you
mission
go?
trip. You were with me too.
Where did we
I remember
go?
this one. We went to San Francisco and stayed in the Tenderloin.
No, I do remember it. I remember it a lot, actually. I remember it now because Meals on Wheels, and I remember sleeping where we slept was like,
oh my gosh,
like, what?
Yeah, I know.
I went to college there too, you know, so it was like, what? I remember when I went to school
in
there.
the Tenderloin, dude.
You know that I went on I had a course in nursing school at USF. That was like my first clinical semester that wasn't in the hospital and it was in the community. Part of it was the homeless. You went to help the homeless. And we did like the Tenderloin section. And there was like a lot of going there like twice a week. And I remember being like, now this is mission work.
Yeah.
What the fuck were we doing back then?
No, so what we were doing, we basically, I want to say you were 16, but that would have been pretty late for you. So maybe like late 15, but I was older-ish. So I was like 13 maybe.
I've denounced Christ. Like I was not a Christian at this point.
Nate was obviously like just the troubled kid that just was forced to go too. You were very much forced.
I was in trouble. I was fine. I was, but that's how everyone saw me.
Everyone saw you as pretty troubled.
They're like, oh, poor Nathan.
And then I was just the young kid that they would hope wouldn't get pulled into Nate's trap.
Don't look up to your older brother anymore.
Don't look up to your older brother anymore. Don't get pulled up into his trap because he's falling away from the truth.
Which is like, oh, fuck you.
But so basically what we did is we went to the Tenderloin. We got basically thrown in this dungeon underground. This church had of this like broken underground like game section. They had like a broken down ping pong table, some old video games that were unplugged, like this weird wall of like trash. And then we went underground and stayed in like these weird prison cell basements. Is what it was. Like, I remember being a hallway, and there would be this room where could fit 4 people laying on the ground, and then you'd walk further, there'd be another room, 4 people laying on the ground. You remember that? And it was just weird.
I don't, because I remember like when you're talking about this right now, I'm remembering claustrophobia.
Yeah,
I'm like remembering anxiety, but I'm not remembering it because it's very possible I really blacked this out.
It was a weird trip, dude.
It was a weird trip.
So I remember we got there, and we just got to get set up. And some of the youth pastors were also not getting along, and it was really weird. Oh, and there was that one kid that threw a huge fit, and dad lost it. Yeah. I don't even remember that. That was really weird.
This sounds like we could make a great reality TV show called Mission Trips in America.
Yeah.
Mission Trips in America, where churches just go on mission trips in America.
Then it would publicize it, and people would love it, and they pay for it.
No, man. Jesus loves you.
Jesus loves you.
Jesus loves you. We're sleeping here. I love sleeping in a basement.
Yeah. It's your chair, dude.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay,
we figured it out. The weird ghost sounds. It's not some weird person trying to kill us right now because we're casting against the church.
Yeah, they're scratching their long fingernails in the door. No, but in the Tenderloin, we were making bags of love. And so basically what we would do is, I know I'm going to bring it all back, dog. We would put a bunch of stuff that the homeless would need, like a toothbrush, toothpaste, socks, anything that could fit in just a Ziploc bag.
You just blew my mind.
And we made a bunch of them. So that night, I think we got there and we made a bunch of them, like hundreds of them. And then the next day, we were going out on the streets of the Tenderloin. Mind you, 12-year-olds. 12-year-old boys. Nate's 15. I thought you were so big at the time, too. You're a 15-year-old boy.
I was big.
And I don't think you did anything. I think you were legit just like, I'm not doing this. If I remember correctly.
I didn't.
It was just, you're just going to be that you'll help with the bags of love or whatever, but you weren't doing the Christian stuff. Or at least everyone knew that. But me, they made me do it. And I wasn't in any place to understand exactly what I was doing, but they were training me to be a missionary. And there was a couple of youth pastors I've never met before that I thought were really cool. And then dad. And they would give me a bag of love. We'd be on the street, and they'd be like someone doing straight heroin right on the ground in front of us. This is true, dude. I remember this vividly.
What?
Doing like or crack or something.
And
drugs.
I'm just up the street.
I don't know where you were.
Okay,
you're not in this.
I'm like
at
on
all.
Union Square. Like I gotta go to college here, man.
I think you might not even have came out. I don't know. Because I was also at the age where I saw you doing this stuff at 12 years old. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not going to walk away like Nathan did. That's kind of what I was thinking. But I was being trained by these people, man, they give you a bag of love and they'd say, go give this to this person and ask if they need it. If they don't need it, don't give it to them. They don't want it. That'd be the first thing you ask. And if they take it, ask them if they know Jesus. And if they know Jesus, congratulate them, give them a hug, love on them because they need love. It was always love. Like that was the message. But if they don't know Jesus, Zach, that's your opportunity to save them. They're going to go to hell and burn forever. It's your opportunity. Yes. It's your opportunity to save them. Remember that. You're put on this earth to save people. And there was this woman, that was fucking cracked out of her mind, dude. And youth pastor walked me up to her. We gave her the bag. And I'm like, legit, so nervous, dude. So nervous.
Oh, man.
Give her the bag. And I'm like, do you need this? And she was like, oh, thank you so much. Jesus loves you. And I was like, Jesus loves you. Do you know Jesus? So yes, I do. It's like, oh, thank God. That was my first thought because I was like, I did it. You're
like, I'll see you there.
I'll see you there. Bye.
You're gonna beat me. You're gonna beat me there. You're gonna beat me there a lot quicker.
Definitely gonna beat me there. But then there was one other old woman that I remember praying with, but I think I blocked a lot of that out.
So like, here's the problem is that's really amazing that you as a kid were put in positions to help the poor and needy, like the real needy. Like John Lewis, that book I had did a really great review on. Said that like that's like what it is, man. Like that's like there's one community in need. I mean, like not one, but there's like the Black community is what the book was on. But like the other thing was like you have to choose like which. You got to help. You got to get out. And that's what Martin Luther King Jr. Day is. It's like, it's about getting out and helping the actual needy, the ones who have nothing. That society has failed. Not like society hasn't failed all of us, but no, I'm just kidding. I don't believe that. But society has failed a lot of people. And we all have by not figuring this out. It's a difficult situation. So like, that's why it's so weird, I think, in our heads, like looking back on it is like, I feel like I became a nurse because I was able to find the things I really enjoyed about the mission trips.
Well, no, for sure. That's the conflict, man. I feel like that's really what the trauma is I felt so good doing the work that we did, building orphanages, helping out at the orphanage.
But that shit.
But when it's tackled on to, okay, now we're going to train you to be a missionary, go do this. Put yourself in a vulnerable situation that a 30-year-old man, even myself right now, would have a very tough time doing.
I'm not going to give a toothbrush to a crack addict off Post Street. Like
with the intent of praying
sir.
with them and saving them.
Not even that. Just, hi, sir. I know that the crack pipe is in your left hand. You need a toothbrush in your right hand. There's no other reason why I'm doing this. Be well.
Yeah. Especially after you living in the city and going to the city so much, but and like, you also being there so much. It's like you see, it's like, no, you don't go to the Tenderloin and do that.
No. But like Jesuit tradition, USF. Jesuit, which is like a sect of Catholicism. It's actually, they'd be like, we're not Catholics. We're Jesuits. It's very true. They are Jesuits. Jesuits, the whole religion of Jesuit, like the whole history is so community given for some reason. Those priests have billions of dollars somehow, but they give a lot. That's like their whole history. And so like part of the Jesuit tradition nursing school program and all of Jesuit tradition schools, you're taking like community support classes and you have a certain amount of curriculum you have to do to like help the community you're in. So that's like a really that's like a thing about USF I loved is that like, but that's a religious historical school, but like, it's not Christianity, right? It's not like we're going out there to save people. We're going out there to like give flu vaccines.
Yeah. No, you're actually helping the community.
And I know you that wants to comment right now about how vaccines are the reason why we are the way we are. You're right. We're alive.
We're alive. You are 100% right.
100% right. And so are the people that I helped at USF. They're alive too, and everybody else. I don't know if that's true. But you know what I mean? Is like that felt like that we were going on mission trips for clinicals. Like I wanted to be a nurse, and it was like so I was so used to it.
Yeah.
When we'd go out to the Tenderloin or any sort of thing, and like nursing school was like a lot of that type of stuff. It just so natural. I was like, I've been here, done this. This is like way better though. This makes a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. That's why I've always wanted to get in like with Doctors Beyond Borders, or like being able, like the hurricanes that have happened. I've signed up for the Nurses Disaster Relief, of America or whatever. So that like every time there's like a major disaster where they do a call for community nurses that are disaster relief nurses, like then you go. It's like, well, who do you sign up with? No, you don't. Bring your supplies, bring all the food, because you're going to be dropped off and with them like by a helicopter and live somewhere for like a week where people can't get out, and you're going to have to like help them. And it's like, oh, I want to do that. But it's like, Nathan, why do you want to do that? Because, man, that seems like
I'm going on a missions trip.
Exactly. And so the trauma for my missions trips, like I found ways to, or not, I mean, no trauma. Like I found a way for me to not lose, like the feeling you're talking about. For me, it was like, oh, I want to be a rock star. I'm going to be a rock star. I'm supposed to be a rock star on stage because I'm here to save people. I'm not going to save people with Jesus. I'm going to save them with my dope beats. They're going to fall in love to my beats. They're going to become friends to my beats.
Yep.
They're going to do Molly to my beats.
Yeah.
And so like the savior complex with Blouse and DJing was like, you know, subtly very real. And so yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought because that was funny. But
there was there's cool stuff that happened at mission trips all the time, especially the ones we went to Mexico. Mexico was dope. You know, it's
of course.
It's a culture shock. And as a kid, like going to like little shops.
Healthy. It's good.
It was the first time I experienced like bartering.
You got to travel.
Yeah.
And we got lucky. The thing is, it's like we stayed in shit places and it wasn't like so many, when I was in college, so many people like go to Mexico or like, talk about, we had families that like friends that would like vacation in Mexico and Hawaii and stuff. And it was like, I've been to Mexico 8 times.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Where do you go? Cabo? Where's your family vacation?
Oh, it's not a vacation.
Oh, we go right over the border.
We got Carmen Sudan. We went there. We also went to Mexico City.
I should explain to you that we're not going there to vacation. And they're always like,
oh,
people go, are you there to build houses? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. Yeah. Now I'm like, I can't wait to go to Cabo.
Me and Alex, we went to Tulum, man. And I want to go back.
Holy
so
Toledos.
Bad.
Holy
I want to go back
Tulumos.
so bad. It's so beautiful there.
I know. One of my coworkers just went to Mexico and came back, and his first day back was yesterday. And I was like, hey man, how was your trip? He was like, oh man, it was so wonderful. And I was like, you're not in Mexico anymore. And walked away.
You slapped him
on his shoulder. It's like, well, you're not in Mexico anymore. Hope you had a good trip. It's like, welcome back to the hospital.
It's funny.
Because I'm just like a little bit jealous.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's like, I don't want to be, you know what?
For sure.
Tell me about your trip later. Never.
Dude, there are some people at my old job who are still on vacation. They went on vacation a month before I left. And they took a month and a half vacation. They went to Thailand.
Oh, fun. Like a couple?
And Bali. Yeah.
Wow. And so they just like took a hiatus from work. And
doesn't that sound amazing?
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't that sound just so good, dude?
We are going to Tahoe this weekend.
Okay,
so that is a big deal for us to drive 4 hours to the snow.
And that's why we're podcasting on a Wednesday, so that you can go away for the weekend. That's how busy life is.
It's just, you know what, man? And like,
but that's good. I like it busy.
I like it busy too. And I think that like, you got to be creative. I have friends I work with that are very busy and they take trips every year. I used to take 2 trips a year. 2 week-long trips that weren't seeing family, that weren't anything. They were just camping or hiking adventures. And, you know, there's a lot more family in my life now. There's a lot. Like I am engaged to a woman who is from Tennessee. So when it comes to traveling, it's like, we're going to see my family. And I'm like, we're going to go see your family. Can we do some hiking though when we're there? And I love Tennessee.
Well,
if I don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I love the Tennessee people are awesome.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about Tennessee.
No, but so what I was getting at is the second time we went to Mexico, we stayed in Mexico City, I believe. I think it was in Mexico City. It's some other city in Mexico, but we stayed in the city in like a broken down orphanage there or whatever. That used to be an orphanage. And we just like slept on the floor again. Similar situation. But it was on New Year's. And like the third day we're there, it was New Year's. That was the one where we used to play soccer with all the kids. Remember that one?
That was a really fun trip, man.
And I remember being so terrified on New Year's because the way they did fireworks there was insane.
It was a war.
Insane.
Amazing.
And when we were driving into the city, they were launching fireworks into our car. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like one hit the window and broke it. And it was like, this town is nuts.
Yeah.
But then on actual New Year's, it was just like you'd look up into the hills because there was a whole hill thing surrounding the city. And like, just like, so it was insane.
Yeah.
But I remember looking back at that now and I'm like, wow, I am so happy I saw how this country celebrates New Year's and how different it is here. And it's like dangerously insane.
Yeah. It's just different.
Yeah.
I mean, and
it was fun.
That
was really exciting.
I have no idea what it is now. Imagine it's the same, but like.
That was a long time ago.
It was, I will never forget that trip, man. That was a really traumatic trip.
That's when we lost one of the kids. Remember that? And we got set back almost like 18 hours.
We lost one of the kids, and we all have to get in our cars and go look for them or something.
We looked for them for a long time. We lost them for a good like 28 hours.
I kind of remember that. Oh, God damn. It's terrible.
And he was just asleep in some, because he couldn't get sleep. And he walked over to the other buildings, and then just like one of the doors was unlocked, and he just went there and slept in there.
Okay, yeah, trauma.
But the whole night we were looking for him. All next day, he like accidentally like his phone. No, we didn't have phones back then. His watch alarm died or something, and so he just like slept for like 14 hours or something. And we left really, really late, and we thought we lost him.
Yeah,
we thought he was taken. Trauma.
Wow.
Trauma.
Wow. You know, so and you bringing up this trip was. Can you remember how old you were? Were you 12?
No.
I was 14, maybe. I must have been 13 or 14. Because
we did a lot of trips in like that 4-year period of like 12 to 16.
So much. Man. It's 3 or 4 trips a year.
So I don't know my age, but it's somewhere between 12 and 14. I know that.
Yeah. And so, but I was still, no, I must have been 15 then, because this thing I'm about to tell, this
is
traumatic
older
story was, so there was a person that, their face and what they said to me on this trip has stuck with me my entire life.
What'd they say?
This was the one, and they were a leader. It was a woman who was one of the youth leaders, you know, like not the youth pastor, but she was, you know, would come on the trips and like help lead and you know, with the girls or whatever. And there was one worship session that was happening in you remember the hall, like the wall was right there. And then there was the building where we would have the worship and the Bible studies and all that. And
they made like the Mexican cake.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The cake was so good. Yeah, it was so good. So like everyone was in there, and there was another gentleman, because I'm not saying any names, and he had just moved to, he was the related to like the youth pastor that we had at the time, and he had just moved, you know,
I know exactly,
to get his life straight.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
But he still wasn't like he was like trying to get his life right with Christ, but he had like was still trying to figure it out. And that's when I had started to walk away, and I went on that Mexico trip, because I remember, I don't know if I think I'd already taken mom and dad out, and that was like what it was. And this guy who had just moved here, the youth pastors, you know, related to them or whatever, would like open up to me about his life. He was much older than me. And he'd like open up to me about his life, like the things that had happened, you know, like the things he'd feel guilty about. And on that trip, he would like tell me like things, man, like, can I tell you something? I remember like, this was like during one of the worship sessions that was going on. We were like standing by that fountain. He's like, man, there's like this girl that I've been seeing, and like, yeah, I know that.
How old was he at this time?
I don't know.
In his 20s at least.
Yeah. Maybe 20. And if maybe 21, I don't know. But he was like, you know, I'm not supposed to be like sleeping with her, and you know, she's been coming over, because he'd like been living at the youth pastor's house or whatever. He's like, you know, and she came over the other night, and I just feel like I feel really guilty about it, you know, like I'm trying to change my ways. And I remember just being like, okay. Like, I wonder if he's telling me this because he knows that I'm no longer, like I've said, I'm not a Christian. And you know, like maybe he felt safe.
Yeah.
And I remember like not knowing what to do with that, and just feeling like, okay, why is this older guy who's like living at the youth pastor's house, who's trying to like get his life right with Christ, telling me about his sex scandals at the house? You know, that was weird. And then like right after
sex scandals, just seeing a girl.
No, I think they had sex, and he was telling me like
exactly doing a human sex scandal.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. The way at the time though was like, oh my, I don't know, man. Like, why are you telling me about, like, because the way he was feeling was like all this shame.
Yeah, so much shame.
It was just putting it on me, and I'm like, just because I'm a pastor's kid who's denounced Christ doesn't give you the right to put this on me. And but right after that, this woman who was one of the leaders, like, Nathan, can I talk to you? And I walk over to her, and she's like, I feel like I really need to tell you something. I'll never forget this. And she was like, I feel like a word from the Lord, it's like telling me to I need to tell you something. And that's, if you keep going down this path, Nathan, if you keep going down this path without Christ, you're going to be the reason why your father's church fails. You'll be the first reason why dominoes start to fall.
She said that to you?
Yeah.
And is that who I'm thinking it is?
Absolutely. You know exactly who it is.
Yeah. What?
And I went, and this was my response, because I didn't realize how traumatic it was at the time. Because never would I speak. I wasn't speaking too rudely to anybody yet, just like mom and dad I'd fight with, right? Like, I remember being like, I can kind of remember what I said. And it was something on the lines of like, wait, how would I be the reason why the church fails? And she'd be like, like, you have such a power, Nathan. And she's like, all this positive. You're so much positivity about you. There's so much going for you. And if you do this, if you keep going down this path, you'll lead people away. I was like, sorry. I was like,
look at what we're doing.
Look at me now. She was right.
She was fucking spot on, dude.
It's like not leading anybody away.
It's leading them away. No, just
I'm not here to lead.
Not leading nobody.
We're not leading anybody. Nobody should be leading anybody anywhere.
Seriously.
We should all just be going the same route together. Like water.
Exactly.
We should move like water.
Damn, dude, that is nuts.
Yeah, so you bring up that trip. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a trauma that I will never forget. I've talked about that to people, like friends and things. Like I brought it up because it's so real.
Mm.
But yeah, I used to think that all the time. Like maybe I am the reason why the church fails someday. I would think that. Like, no, Nathan, don't believe these people. That's why you're not a Christian, man. They're crazy. But God, do I? Wait, no, don't pray.
Mm.
What do I do? Am I the reason?
It's interesting that like this whole savior complex is so hard to avoid sometimes after it's first like imprinted upon you.
I mean, it's everywhere. It's when you realize it's a oppressive institution.
We're trying to create a community of people who have struggled with religious trauma and have a place to talk about it and can talk freely about it. That's all we're trying to do. But in reality, if that community keeps growing, we will pull people away. And it's like, we're saving them. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing. But in reality, it kind of is reverse.
What I like is
what we were raised on.
I would rephrase that and say that that's what we're talking. That's what this whole thing I was just saying is that like nobody should be leading anybody. I think us being vulnerable and sacrificing ourselves publicly, like literally to like share our story and learn more ourselves publicly online and post it, is we're talking about it and posting it publicly because we believe it matters. And we believe this conversation needs to be had publicly. And we know that like you send me TikToks of people, like new people you find that have like great followings.
Yeah.
They have like 20,000 likes that are like atheists. There's a whole world of atheism out there. It's very like strong, and Nathan, are you an atheist? I don't know. I don't have labels, man. Don't label me. So I don't even want to like subscribe to like that, like I would love to like interview those types of atheists and people like that. Like there's people that really identify to like into atheism. And I think that that's a strong community in and of itself. I think the community that we're not trying, but we are building is like Austin, who we interviewed.
Yeah, exactly.
Who hits us up.
Yeah.
Who checks in, who says, yo, good content, like whatever. Like that's one person.
I know.
And like we've had a handful of other people that have just hit us up like, hey, thank you for doing what you're doing because we all went through this shit together and like it needs to be talked about. And everyone has told me to not talk about it, and like it really matters. And I think that like,
and the more we do it, the more it matters. The deeper we get. I think this segment of that we've been doing of 5 things we've talked about has just, like you said, after we do it, it opens up doors of memory and that I've suppressed very far.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I wasn't going to have anything to say about missions trips. It's like, oh yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. And I started thinking, it was like, that's right. I don't think about this stuff anymore. I don't think about a lot of things anymore. And that's why we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I think like happiness is the goal and you can't just hide yourself and be happy.
Mm.
And the way we were raised is exactly how we were raised. And the things we experience is exactly so many other kids experience them. And it could be causing issues in their life too. And I want them to be able to talk freely about it if they want to as well.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's all about building that community. But it is weird. It's hard to decipher what is like savior complex ideas and what is just trying to help.
Yeah. Well, I think that before the cast, we had a big conversation about ayahuasca and psychedelics and stuff. And I think that what's interesting is we're talking about like Western religion. And when you dabble into plant medicine and Eastern philosophies, meditation, oneness, mindfulness, you start to feel a little bit more free, a little more free. And so that's like this year. That's what I feel lucky to be part of. And there's a renaissance. John Oliver's recent HBO special was on psychedelic integrative therapy, like right after the cast we did. And it's like, we are not unique. We're just a part of the wave, right? We had this whole conversation. It was just like, I feel so lucky to like be catching that wave of healing, medicinal plant medicine healing. I'm starting to feel more free. I'm starting to make really hard decisions with like the allergy pill I've been on since I was 13 years old from one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. Broke out in stress hives and I've been dealing with it ever since. I'm like stopping that. I quit drinking alcohol. I stopped my stomach medication, which is for GERD. And I'm not having any GERD anymore because my diet is changing and I don't drink anymore. And I'm not nearly as, whenever I start to get worked up, that's opportunity to not be worked up. Like, excuse me. There is real freedom out there. And I would never tell anybody what their choices are, what everything isn't like free to them. But I do know what it's like to be raised in the church by a pastor, you know, as a father, and go on many mission trips and all these camps, and everything we've talked about, and all these prayers and all these worship things. And it has been very difficult to like, I don't think I've ever really had much thought about what's the God complex or not, you know, until I started to really choose to search inward.
Yeah.
That's like a choice. That's therapy. That's been like real healing. And so honestly, I feel like the reason why this podcast is possible is because there's been a lot of work before.
Oh yeah. No,
in
100%.
In 2021, you were like, can we please do it? And it was like, we tried it and it was just drinking and partying. I had no idea what was in store with us. And so like, yeah, it's awesome. It's also daunting and it's real. And so when people in the comments, you know, like the few that you send me or whatever, and it's like, forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do. Like, I love using that line because it's taking a piece of our past and it's being like, that's exactly what it feels like.
It does feel that way.
It's like, you want to crucify me? And I'll look down at you and be like, forgive them, Father, for like, isn't this exactly?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Same thing, just the
what is
opposite side of the
being like,
spectrum.
maybe that is the goal of this religion, is to like, you read it, then you are it.
Yeah.
But which one you want to choose to be? You want to be Jesus? Or do you want to be the one casting the stone? All right. It's like, that's what I was taught as a kid. And that's like, I've been spending most of my life to learn how to be that, whatever that means. And I think that like, drop the dogma, drop the institution, drop the sexism, drop the toxic masculinity, embrace like the reality that we are humans. That's it. You know, like, I don't know, like there are truths out there and there are ways to find real healing. And for us, it's like, I totally get what you mean, but I think I know I am starting to, for me, find more freedom in this. Like realizing
freedom in this, freedom in the podcast, freedom in what?
Freedom from myself, freedom from like this personality, freedom from like the choices that I've made and trying to understand, like, I really want to write music.
Yeah. Isn't that because you're dealing with yourself?
Exactly.
And you're freeing yourself from the character you've created from trauma,
or just bandaged up by using certain medicinal medicines.
It doesn't even have to be a physical medicine. It's a mental medicine too. The certain thought circles that we've gotten ourselves in. Like, you always get angry when you do this, And it's like you're working on so many different things, also using psychedelics to help you get there too, advancing that process of neuroplasticity.
Exactly.
And you're saying, I'm seeing this change and it's big.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I fully feel the same, man. And I think doing this podcast, that's why there's something here that we're doing and it feels right, is so much has changed since we started this podcast for me mentally.
Yeah.
Especially about our upbringing and about religion and trauma. And I've really accepted myself as someone who has suffered some pretty big trauma in my life. And that's why A and B has been this way. And I want C to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be better. And I want to be happy. And I want to die happy. Because this train I'm on of avoiding these issues, it's not fun, man. And the more we've been doing this, the more I've just starting to see clearly and see myself clearly and see my needs clearly too. And my desires and wants for other people, and just catching myself having certain thoughts and being like, that's because I was raised this way. Mm. That's not because I'm actually thinking that. That's like an imprint into my brain. And I need to redesign that. And I personally think psychedelics are the way to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the Renaissance. I think that's where a lot of research has been happening, over the last 20 years or so, or 15 years or so, like just like how that was starting and was going on in like the 60s and going into the 70s. And so that's powerful. And also industry is slowly moving, and at least America's so slow, but like go to Canada, it's like everything's legal there. And it's just a different culture. So I think that like psychedelics are a medicine. A lot of things can be a medicine. And I think certain things, feels like there are certain things on this planet that are just like, bum, bum, dun, dun, dun. Here is a key. Do you want to use the key to open up this door? Do you want to see what's behind the door of your mind?
Mm-hmm.
You don't? Well, we're just growing on shit all over the world. We're just growing on shit. And it's like, what else is shit good for? Fertilizing food. Right?
Yeah.
So there's something about going to the shit and taking the flowers that come from it and being able to peek behind the curtain and ask yourself, do you want to come back here without me? Because you can, because that's you. Mm. It's not the psilocybin. You're always that, man.
Well, no,
woman,
for sure.
Person, thing, it, they.
Yeah.
You are not this.
Yeah.
Like you are bigger. You are you. You are what you are. It is what it is. You are God. And what that means is like, that is, I think any Christian might look at that and hear that and be like, pretentious prick.
Antichrist.
You are so of the devil. And it's like, we are all God. I am purpose. Like that's what I learned that's what I felt and breathed and lived was like, what is my purpose? And then my voice was like, no, you are purpose. You are purpose in all of its forms, beginning and end. Mm. It's cool. And I think that's like, feels good to be free from hate and free from like these things. And it's like a slow process of healing and talking about these things. It's like, it's really good for that reason. I think that like, you got to go to the trauma. You got to go to the source. I think like, I've never done ayahuasca, but we're on our way there. And I think that what I've trying not to read too much on it, people's experiences, but people go to their source if they've never gone. You hide, you run, your ego is just telling you this or that, and you're just controlled by these things. I might force you to confront the scariest part of that trauma. Mm-hmm. Might have to actually look for it in face value, like right at it, re-experience it, relearn it as a not a kid, and be like, right. And so this podcast is really helping us relearn our childhoods better. It's like we're doing the work. This is what it's about. This is what plant medicine people, like it's powerful, man. It's good. And I think that like, but you grow like you doing the whole psilocybin medicinal tiptoe into that, and then have your own experience in it. And I get to like benefit off of that was like, that's what I've said is like, I've always thanked you. Like, thank you for taking like a risk in your own anxiety and not being afraid to do this and like doing your own research. And like, cause I know there's gotta be something there. And yeah. And so that's like my view on it is it's a medicine. And I think that these things are used throughout thousands and thousands of years, you know, and they're supposed to be, when used correctly with positive intent, and, you know, then spiritual cleansing can really happen. And then you come out of them, not different, but truer. That's it. It's like, you know, so every story, it's like, well, that's what's happening now. I'm just feel like I'm working on wanting to become more my truth. What is that? I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
figuring it out. And it's really great.
Yeah.
To not be like drunk.
Yeah.
And like, I know I smoke a lot of weed, but it's like, I'm going to be quitting that this year too, for a while, for this reason.
Yeah.
I got to really learn the relationship of this shit. And like, how did I get there? Well, Megan helped me. Falling in love with somebody that helps me feel less shame. You know, like truly there as a support system, and also forces me to like shape up or she'll bounce. It's like, I got to get my shit together or else this ain't going to work. And so hard work pays off. And I think that like there's physical hard work and then there's internal hard work. Both are super like, I think actually the internal work is way harder. It's like, it's not only scarier, but it's like darker in the mind. You like can't think about it as you have to like ask questions to like a therapist, and you have to like talk to your partners about your vulnerabilities. And you have to like, that's why our podcast helps, is because it's like, it's dark memories. I can't remember anything. And so just talking about it, it's like, God, I had no idea actually. So that's why I think like this is medicinal.
Yeah.
This is verbal medicine. And there's plant medicine.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Should probably head over to the
game. It is. We're about 72 minutes in, so thank you for listening to episode 5 of 5, part 5, which is mission strips.
Yeah, mission strips.
And we're going to be playing now. If you're watching, we played it once before. Foosketball.
I think we're gonna be a little better at it this time.
Foosketball is a football basketball mix. Foosball basketball. Foosball basketball.
Foosball basketball mix.
Foosketball.
I want that foosketball.
Pass me the foosketball. I don't know why we're doing that accent, but pass me the foosketball.
It's just fun to do asses.
It's really fun to do asses.
It's really fun to do asses.
It is fun to do asses.
Yes.
I love doing asses.
I know, Megan tells me about it all the time.
Actually, I'm sorry. I love doing ass. There is no asses in my life. There's ass.
I love doing ass.
Not plural, babe.
You ever smoke ass?
Yes.
So what's the yellow ball for?
I might actually have to get up again.
Just gonna squeeze on over here.
If you're hearing anything in the background, that's one of the game tracks from yours truly.
One of the game tracks.
Nene. Old music, maybe some new beats, not sure. But if you like it, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, it's so hard at this angle. That's what's so
I know,
difficult.
so we might have to stand up, right, and do it. And like hit our mics, or like, I don't know, we can like...
We can probably stand up.
Mine only goes right there. I'm good right here. Right like this. Okay, so... The last time we played, it was like all at once, and this table's lopsided, and so it's not really fair, right? Let's do a little test really quick, because I know that time crunch is a thing. And we're going to put this here, and we're going to see where the ball goes. So it goes right there. We're just going to go to the side. I don't even know if I can get him. All right, you want to play?
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right.
Should we do all the balls at the same time? And whoever makes...
let's not do. Last time we did 3 because we couldn't make 1 for a really long time. But I think we'll be able to make them quicker. We played it multiple times. I don't know why I took your ball.
Yeah, give me my ball back.
No, you just gotta lift this up, dude. Don't pull them out. Watch.
Okay, you're right. You know. All right. So first one to make 5.
Ball, we're not doing anything with the yellow ball.
Nothing with the yellow ball. First one to make 5.
Yep.
Or
Wins.
more wins. Zach, good luck.
Hey, luck to you. I won last time.
You did win last time. This is a different game.
And you've been winning quite a bit.
No, this game's hard. Foosketball.
Daddy's gonna smash.
2,
Let's go.
1. Okay, it's already hard. Can't even grab it.
It's tougher when there's more balls in the ground.
Okay. Okay, 5 bath. This is what happened last time, right? It's like I can't even grab it.
Patient. It's like learning the ways of the Force. Except I wish we could have this taped down or something so that I could like use more Force.
We could have, man. This is 2.0. We should have gotten better. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Up.
Oh, I did block you. Oh, no. Get out.
It went way over there.
That's okay. You're done. You lost. You can't even make 5 anymore.
Less balls now. No, I can make your balls, dude.
You know what? This is going to happen again where we're going to play for a while and be like, okay.
Well, it's just so tough at this angle.
Almost. Come on, we got to make 1 here. Oh, hit the mic. That was hot.
Okay, so it's getting the air. So you got the air down. But however you did that last one, that's how you're going to make it. Son of a bitch.
Oh,
Nate got 1.
That's 1.
Nate's 1 point up. I can't even pick the balls up anymore. Pun intended.
All right, we just got to keep moving it. Come on. Oh, I'm getting lost.
I got a ball.
I'm getting lost. Come on, man. Come on, Nathan. Focus.
Dude, how do you do it?
I know, man. You'll get it. Remember, because once you got it the last time, you like started making them like crazy. But I'm like freaking out. I can't even pick them up anymore. Oh, that's 2.
Nate got 2. I haven't scored 1 yet.
Oh, you got better. You got closer.
I'm not. I'm still baseball throwing him, dude.
Oh my God, this is sticking.
I know.
Gotta push it down. Okay, I have 2 points here for Foosketball. This is episode 20 of Those Boys. Oh, almost in his face.
Nate's hit me in the face twice.
I'm getting some good air.
Dude, why are these so sticky?
Backboard, but not in the pipe. Oh, you're getting it. Zach's getting it. This is a game now, folks. This is a game. We got a game here. Come on. No! Zach's really got it. Zach's back. I'm panicking.
Damn it,
I'm panicking. I keep dropping the ball. I got butterfingers.
No, dude, what a shot.
That was beautiful. Let's go. Oh, yeah, don't lose it, Butterfinger boy. Oh, okay. Good air on that one.
We're getting less balls in the court. I still have not made 1.
Oh,
Nate's up by 3.
I only have to make 2 more. Oh, come on. I'm getting better at grabbing it.
I'm not.
Feels that way. Yep, we're getting better at grabbing it. Ah!
We're gonna have to collect some of these balls.
I get it, man. We always have to collect balls.
Yeah, we're men. We're collecting our balls in the daily.
Megan asked me, she was like, can you start, or she was like asking me questions about how much guys have to adjust their stuff. And I was like, every single time I adjust now, I'm going to tell you. So like in the stores, I'm like, I'm adjusting.
Yeah.
No, she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, right now, look.
Oh, son of a bitch.
All right, time out. Pick up the balls.
2 here. You got 1 behind you and there's a yellow one somewhere.
Really airballed that one. What's he say in that really, Chris Evans say in that really terrible Fantastic Four? Flame on!
I don't know. Ready? And go. Yes, I made a point.
It looks like you were able to get a ball in hand while I was getting the other balls. That is cheating.
You shot me in the face 3 times.
You deserve that, man. You gotta wind up and everything. I'm gonna sink these, baby. Oh, you did block it. Oh, get out!
Get out!
Get out! That sounds like a School of Rock. School of Rock.
School of Rock.
Come to me.
And you'll see it's a world of pure imagination.
No. Go on.
And you'll be
I'm starting to get
setting free.
This is practice to not get frustrated.
Sensei. Dude, it's so sticky. I can't get it.
I know. We know how this goes.
Okay. Nathan's made 4 points now.
1 to go.
I can't even hold on to the ball.
Game point.
Oh,
I thought you had that. Yeah, this is it.
No, it's not. You're not gonna make it.
This is the game. He's coming in. It's a buzzer shot. It's on the time. The clock is in. No, that's game on the buzzer beater.
You slaughtered me.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, you're winning all the 2.0s, man. This game's so hard. It's so hard at this angle.
It's very hard.
Like, I want to be over here.
Instead of wanting it the way you want it, you have to work with what you got.
And I did not work well.
You keep hitting these, the pictures keep moving.
Deal with it.
He's not happy, folks.
That sounds like a personal problem, Nathan.
I'm really happy I made that last shot when I said it was the game shot, winning shot. Well, you know, at first I thought that was going to be a really boring game and it was going to be annoying because we weren't going to be able to do it. But I surprised myself. And I think that's what a lot of this cast ended on, was surprising ourselves. Right, Zach?
Sometimes you have to surprise yourself so that you can be surprised. And when you're surprised, baby, we all feel it.
Oh, baby. When those boys are surprised, we're all surprised.
We're all surprised.
Zachary?
Yes?
Love you.
Love you.
It's been a really good cast.
It's been a great one.
I think we
end of the segment. When you get back from Tahoe, we got to figure out what the fuck we're going to do with this cast now.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I would really love to interview somebody. I'd love to have somebody. We got you can't see it, but there's a beautiful chair that I found on the street that we're going to use as the interview chair to have somebody come in here someday.
Yeah, I'll clean it.
But we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll just start another series. But Chantel will be back next time for episode 29, back in house, finishing up the website.
Which hopefully by that day, we should be able to post something, the website.
Exactly. And so things are moving. We're building our product out and the business.
When he says product, he means blue crystal meth.
Yeah. That is not what I mean.
That's what he means. It's product, and it is the best shit you've ever had.
He means the truth. That's what he means. He's just using words.
We're speaking the gospel here on this place.
Okay, I gotta go. I'm out. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for swinging on by, boys. Until next time. Oh, shit. Can't wait anymore. Well, you get it happen.